Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my opinion on the 10 best EDC folding knives under $150. This is the strangest territory, the most difficult territory to nail down in terms of value. A lot of times people stick with the budget territory, which is under $75, or they bump up to the $200 and beyond territory. For some reason, this is a little bit tricky, but I've got it down. I've got my opinions here. I'm going to share with you guys a whole bunch of knives, and most of these are going to be available, so I'm going to link them right down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. I'm going to start off here with some honorable mentions. These aren't actually part of the list, but they're honestly a really good deal for one reason or another. So first off, we have the Spyderco Andela in K390 for $148, the Spyderco Endura in M4 for $134, the CJRB Hectare in S90V for $119, and the AD 20.5 specifically in CPM 20CV, which is currently on sale at Blade HQ for about $120. I'm also going to include the Cold Steel AD10 for honorable mentions, which normally does not come with titanium scales. It's G10, but these are $144. And while they're a little bit too robust and heavy for a lot of people to carry, they're still an absolutely wonderful value and definitely one of the most durable dollar for dollar knives out there. Definitely should at least be included in honorable mentions. Moving on here to the actual list, starting off here with number 10, the Kershaw Heist in G10 and S35VN. The Heist in and of itself is an incredible design, ambidextrous locking system, wonderful blade profile, very compact. We have contoured and textured scales. Really, really good overall package for $119. I enjoyed the basic version of the Heist, the one that was just in D2, right? You can still get that. That's a budget knife, definitely. But if you're wanting to bump up, S35VN definitely still a super steel, and definitely a steel that's absolutely welcome at this price point. I think S35VN is going to be one of the best all-around user steels that you're going to find at this price point, and it's an excellent choice, absolutely. Moving on here to number 9, and that's the Maxace Black Mirror. This is kind of a mind-blowing knife, and I have definitely, sang this knife's praises over the months and years. But it's just an absolutely wonderful EDC profile. We have a titanium frame lock here. In this version, we have the sort of topographical, it's like a copper carbon fiber. A little bit awkward in contrast with the brass colored pivot collar, backspacer, and pocket clip. But, I can't really nitpick it too hard because it's S90V, a fully flat ground sheep's foot S90V blade. Used to be M39. I think you can still periodically find those. But these black mirrors will come in between $142 and $148. I don't know how Maxace is getting this done, but it really is incredible. This is a wonderful knife, and the only issue with it, and it's not really that much of an issue, it's just slight. The access back here could be a little better for people who want to middle finger flick it, but you can obviously still do that. You can also thumb flick it as well. Moving on here to number 1098, we have the Reich Thule. And, some people might disagree with me on this one, but you guys know I love integrals. The Reich Thule is a G10 integral. In this case, we have carbon fiber inlays, but you can also get it in multicolored G10 inlays. Reich does a really good job with the complex machining, and even though it is only G10, they milled that whole frame from a single block of G10. That makes disassembly very, very simple, but it just adds to cool factor. Anytime you do an integral, even when it's G10, it adds cost versus, the standard being two pieces of the same material connected with standoffs or a backspacer and some screws, right? That's less expensive to do. It's substantially more expensive when they do it in titanium, but in this case, we just don't have too many examples of integrals at this price point, and definitely not many examples of G10 integrals. The blade is made of 154 cm, which is one of my favorite steels of all time, and obviously still an excellent steel at this price point. The overall design, look, feel, quality, break of the D10, it's an absolutely wonderful knife and extremely recommendable. Moving on here to number 7, another G10 integral, probably my favorite for the money, and that's the Kaiser Brat. I've talked about this knife so many times. When this first came out, I was just absolutely stunned that Kaiser could do a G10 integral, which, here's a look at the back here, but a G10 integral button lock with the shiny stonewash that they do such a good job with, and a 154 cm blade. So this has all of the same cool factor as the Thule, but it's just less complicated, less complex, overall design. And it's way less expensive at about $90. I love this knife, and not, just for the cool factor, but because it makes such an ergonomic and wonderful cutting tool. You might experience a little bit of button stick. Mine has come and gone, and sometimes it goes away completely and then it comes back a little bit. But truthfully, my overall experience with this knife has been so good, and it's such a joy to carry. The downside to an integral sometimes, especially when we're looking at titanium integrals, they can be really heavy just because of the total amount of material. Because this one's made out of G10, you get that same really solid feel. I mean, it really feels solid, but it's just nowhere near as heavy. This is a wonderful knife, and I talk about it so much because I just feel like it is substantially underrated, and everybody who has gone ahead and pulled the trigger on it, at least who have messaged me in the comments, has said, yeah, you're right, this thing is awesome. And no surprise, Kaiser does dominate this territory. They do. There's no avoiding it. Kaiser just does a really, really good job. Moving on here to number 6, we have to include some automatic knives. Right? What amazing OTF automatic knife could I possibly put on the list under $150? There's only one answer. One. And it stands alone on the mountaintops. The Maxas Neptune is far and away the best dollar for dollar OTF on the planet. There are very few people who would argue with me here. I know that a ton of you picked this knife up when it came out because it was an unbelievable $108. I mean it when I say this thing rivals the best production OTFs, your Microtechs, your Guardian Tacticals, right? It rivals them, absolutely. It's not quite up there in Hawk territory, but geez, for $108, are you kidding me? Aluminum frame with the little sort of track tech, whatever you call those inserts. And then you have the San Mai blade, and I believe that's an SLD Magic core, unless I'm mistaken. I'll put it up on screen if I'm wrong. But wow, are you kidding me? Unbelievable. The power of this thing, the lockup solidity, the reliability. Mine never failed. It literally never failed. I think I fired it about 500 times. Never had an issue with it. The only thing that you might not like is some people complain about the pocket clip. Pocket clip's okay. It's not the best thing in the world. Also, it takes quite a bit of force to fire. It's not a joke. If you feel like you have weak thumbs or weak hands, or you've had problems firing Microtech OTFs in the past, you might not like this one. It takes a lot of tension. I messaged them and said, you need to widen out that firing switch and make it a little bit easier. Microtech has figured out how to do that. That's one way to do it. I'm sure there's multiple ways, but this remains to be like easily. There's second place, whatever it is so far back from this just in terms of value and quality and materials. The Maxas Neptune is truly king in this specific department of OTF knives for dollar value. Moving on here to number 5, we have to include a side opening automatic knife. And there's really only one group of knives that's gonna, be appropriate, and it's gonna be the Launch series, but specifically the Kershaw Launch 16. I love the classic profile of this knife. I love the fact that it is CPM M4, made in the United States, which is absolutely worth pointing out here because it costs substantially more to make knives in the United States versus China. The full knife size profile, right? I even like the Tanto blade. Wish that they would do the drop point blade. But I absolutely do love this knife. It's just absolutely spectacular. I think you can get it in black and green for $150. That is, I remember seeing the price. I was like, oh no, Kershaw's getting up there closer to, they're going to get up there closer to 200 on this one. Nope, $150. Pretty great deal. Can't argue with that. That's easily one of the best, if not the best, side opening automatic knives on the market for the money. Very, very good. Moving on here to number 4, and that's going to be the Hogue Deca. Yeah, I cannot do this list without doing the Hogue Deca. In my opinion, the Hogue Deca is superior to the Benchmade Bug Out in literally every way. Now, mine's got some aftermarket scales on it, right? But you can get these in Magna Cut, which, by the way, I think they're doing 63, 64, maybe it's 62, 63, but definitely a high heat treat on these things in Magna Cut for a base price of $140. That's Magna Cut with one of the basic blades and then G10. They do go up a little bit from there depending on what you're getting, but this is a lightweight, compact, ambidextrous EDC knife with a premium blade steel that's actually been heat treated properly, and every element of it is set up for optimum EDC-ness, right? Just massive convenience or, ease of manipulation, all of that. It's what you want. I like the pocket clip. It's got a little bit of a CIVI bill at the end, but overall it functions really, really well. Left or right-handed people. This is everything that the Bug Out is. But I mean, and this has been argued into the ground, right? It's just way less expensive with materials that I think the modern EDC knife enthusiast is going to prefer. You also have different options for the blade shape, and I'm not sure about the total number of options for the scales, but you do have a lot of options for sure. This is highly recommendable and US made. Hogue does a great job, and as a company, I think Hogue is ridiculously underrated. I think people overlook them all the time, and I have no idea why. You guys should be you should be buying more Hogue knives. I mean, they're some of the best priced USA made knives on the market, period. So moving on here to number 3. I'm not sure that everybody will agree with me here, but I love this knife. Maybe it's just because I love the Sheepdog profile so much. This is the Kaiser Sheepdog, specifically in the clutch lock form. Now, to be honest, there isn't a version of the Sheepdog that I don't recommend. The Kaiser Sheepdog comes in budget form, liner lock form, button lock form, frame lock form, right? This new clutch lock, which is essentially Kaiser's Axis lock. And truthfully, the one you're seeing right now is probably the one that has the melted American flag scales and the S35VN blade. That one is not under $150, but they do make a much easier to look at black aluminum and 154 cm version, or I think actually purple aluminum as well. But those are the ones I'm talking about. I'll probably put a picture up on screen there for you guys to see. They're excellent. The profile of the Sheepdog is wonderful. It's very easy to manipulate. This has a little bit of an extra stud thing outside of the hole, which makes it unique to the other Sheepdog knives in this family, I guess. But I love this one specifically because the locking system is wonderful, very reliable. You get extra omega springs, to my knowledge, in the box, which is great. But left and right-handed people can enjoy this, or people who use their knives with both their right and left hand. Moving on here, I can't not include this on the list. Number 2 is absolutely the Cold Steel American Lawman. This is such a simple knife. It's such a simple, humble tool. But it is arguably the most durable knife on the list, or one of them at least. This has the cold steel triad lock. Unlike other cold steel knives, this one is easy to carry. It's not the only easy to carry cold steel knife out there, but it is the one that I prefer, and it's mainly because of the ergonomic lines. It has a straightforward, just very usable choke up area. You have an S35VN blade, and the combination of everything here with the triad lock is going to make this thing stupidly durable. I mean, for the size, the amount of knife that you get, and how compact it is truly in the pocket, this is like the outdoor use it for anything kind of folding knife. It used to be only $90. In fact, it was probably less than that. They've bumped it up to about 120 or so, which is, but you know what? In today's economy versus other things out there under $150, yeah. And then finally, for the last one, number 1, oh my gosh, how boring. He's going to talk about the CIVI Vision FG again. Yes, I am. Are you kidding? Come on. These start at 78 bucks. Sneck Super Lock, which is one of definitely might be slightly behind the Cold Steel Tri-Lock in terms of strength. But the bonus here, what you lose in incrementally, right? It's maybe just a teeny tiny bit of strength. What you lose there is heavily made up for with ease of manipulation. The fact that you can deploy this so easily and release the blade so easily just by pulling up on that back screen is so cool. This does come in other configurations outside of PP yellow. You can get black, you can get green, there's a bunch of different colors, right? We have a Nitro V blade, which is plenty welcome at $78. I mean, it's nearly a budget knife. We drew the line there. I didn't put anything on the list under 75 because that would be a budget knife, right? So I tried to keep all of these above 75 but below 150. And this is dollar for dollar. The best on this list, and you know, I've said this before, I think this is probably the best dollar for dollar knife on earth. Some people don't like it. They don't like how it looks, or they don't like how it manipulates. I don't really care about the holes. You can get aftermarket scales now. You know, you can get aftermarket pocket clips if you don't like the bill, which to me is completely understandable. But the way it manipulates, to me, I find this to be ridiculously easy. I also find it very, very comfortable, and I love the overall EDC profile and shape of this knife. Wonderful. I do have one more for you guys. I have a bonus. I'm cheating. It's the 11th one. I'm also cheating in terms of the price because this knife isn't always under $150. But I went to Kaiser's website and was shocked to find that you could get the Kaiser Milit, not this version. I know that's a tease. I don't have the standard one. You can get the Kaiser Milit on the Kershaw website right now for $143. Are you kidding me? This is arguably their best model ever. Now this one here is a shiny DLC. It's a special edition version. I'm just using it to demonstrate exactly how easy it is to manipulate because the standard one is built the same way. This is S45VN with a nearly mirror polished DLC blade. We have a DLC frame and then purple fat carbon for the inlays. The standard version of this knife, which I'll try and show a picture of up on screen, has micarta and a stone-washed S35VN blade with a titanium frame. But $143 or $145, whatever it is right now, that's an absolute yes. Even the standard price at $159, which is what it's going for on every other retailer right now, is still a shockingly good price. The Milit is definitely one of the best priced knives on the market. Dollar for dollar, absolutely 100% one of the best priced knives on the market. And I think it might actually be Kershaw's best release, even though the designer, which I'm going to show right here, it's not actually an in-house design. Yeah, it was designed by somebody else there. I love this knife. I think it's spectacular, and I couldn't technically put it on the top 10 because of the price. So I just, you know, since I run the channel, squeezed it in at the end and said it was great anyway. So if you don't mind going slightly over in the event that this likely Kaiser sale ends, right? Which it does. The prices fluctuate a little bit. Then pick it up for $159. It's an absolutely excellent deal. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. Like I said, all of this stuff will be linked down in the description so you guys can check it out. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.